Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew and I want to talk about PlayStation's future plans for a minute because we're starting to get leaks of PS5 Pros, of another Sony handheld, and just, like PSVR 2 in general, the new PlayStation 5 Slim that's supposed to be coming out. So I want to take a minute and dive deep into this because, man, I've been a PlayStation fan since the beginning, since PlayStation 1. I've seen a lot of things from them come and go. Some things come out with a lot of hype and then fizzle out immediately. It's just, like the 3D TVs. So let's bring our hype down for a minute. First of all, I want to start off and I want to talk about this new handheld device that they're potentially coming out. To me, what it honestly sounds like is they want this to be a companion device for your PlayStation 5. So essentially more like a Pro controller, like the DualSense Edge, but featuring an 8-inch OLED screen so that you can essentially, play your games at 1080p at 60 frames a second. By streaming them to this device, it will have haptic feedback. It will have the adaptive trigger support in this. So to me, it sounds like a more expensive controller. It does. To me, it sounds more like an expensive controller that you'll be able to utilize and play your PS5 games on, as well as be able to, kind of just sit in another room and play it. Now, if Sony's smart with this device, they'll 100% make it so that games could potentially be made for it so that you could play them on the hardware native. If it is, in fact, just that design, it would be cool if it did have Wi-Fi support so that you could take it on the go with you and potentially use it, at a friend's house or somewhere else to be able to play your games. I don't know, man. It sounds really risky if that's exactly what they're doing with it, but it also sounds extremely cool. Like, I'm not gonna lie, man. If it's a handheld device that works like a controller and it's got the haptic feedback and it has the DualSense support and it's got an 8-inch screen, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing, but pricing is where that's gonna really, either it's gonna shine or it's gonna fall apart. If it comes out and it's like $299, $100 more than the DualSense Edge, and it has a freaking 4-hour battery life as well, I don't know, man. I don't know, because if it's got the haptics in the triggers, it's gonna have a battery issue. So to me, it sounds like a really high profile controller that potentially has that you could potentially take it on the go with you. That would be interesting to see PlayStation try to convince people to buy a product like that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, it's possible if it had like full-fledged, like if it felt like a full-fledged controller with an 8-inch screen and you had your full on buttons and everything, and it felt like playing on a controller. Maybe it would be worth picking up. But we'll have to see. If it's another one of these little handheld, like Steam Deck looking things with the wait, no, it's not gonna do that well, especially for what they're trying, like what they would be trying to ask for it. I don't know. So let's move on over to PlayStation VR 2. The one thing that I'm hearing a lot of people over on Twitter and just in general talking down about it, due to the fact that it's not taken off. It was never going to take off. I've said that on this channel before it even came out. It is not going to take off the way that people are thinking that a PlayStation product would take off. It's not going to. The price is too high. There's just not enough compelling... Well, I'm not going to say there's not compelling software on it right now, because everything I've played on it so far, like, I'm pretty happy with. I'm pretty satisfied with the experience that I've gotten with the PlayStation VR 2. So when it comes to people saying that there's not a must-have app on PSVR 2, that's nonsense. Call of the Wild is a freaking pretty cool game. Like, it is a AAA looking and feeling VR experience. Like, it does look and feel compelling enough to be like, wow, if this is the day one product, imagine how much better it is going to get. Once they start to like really dial down and really put together some software with VR2 in mind, PlayStation, I've always said this on the channel too, PlayStation is the one that could make VR great. Like they literally can. They have the know-how. They have the talent. They have the studios. They've bought more studios that specialize in VR. With the talent that PlayStation has, there's no freaking reason why a PSVR 2 it's good hardware. There's no reason why PSVR 2 cannot shine by the end of this generation. Is it going to shine in the beginning? Probably not, but Gran Turismo 7 is an incredibly immersive experience when paired with a sim racing rig and that headset. Man, I can't get enough of it. I still love it. I don't regret buying my PSVR 2 whatsoever. I enjoy it. I play it all the time. I play it as often as I possibly can. When I'm not making a video, when I'm not work, when I'm not spending time with the family, I'm playing some Gran Turismo 7. I've logged a lot of hours on the Gran Turismo 7 since I bought that PSVR 2. So I know that the product that PlayStation's trying to sell is definitely worth the experience. But trying to find a way to convince people that, yeah, man, $550 for this experience, that's the hard part. That is the biggest stumble for the PlayStation VR 2. Now, I like mine, and I do highly recommend the PlayStation VR 2 experience. I really do like it. I would not sit here on this channel and tell you to buy a product that I don't believe in. Simply, like, what good would that literally do to me? And if you've been at this channel for long enough, that you know that I'm not a PlayStation shill. I'm more of an Xbox shill. You know what I mean? So I'm just joking. But if you want an experience in VR, now I do get that the price wise, this is pretty tough, man. This is the hill that could make or break the PlayStation VR 2. But I do feel like moving on to we're going to be moving on to the next subject, the PlayStation 5 Slim. So that's going to kind of lead into this right here. But the PlayStation 5 Slim is potentially going to have a markdown price. So I believe that once that launches, I believe PSVR 2 is going to take a slight price cut, probably in the region of probably like either like $479, $499 ish, something that's going to be able to help you be like, oh yeah, I can get the PS5 Slim, and then I could get the PSVR 2 and get like a bundle discount or something like that. Maybe they bundle them together, give it to you a better deal, like $699, maybe a little more, because they're going to have to significantly lower the price to the PlayStation 5 pretty soon, especially if they've got a PS5 Pro coming out and they want to still make that thing marketable around $500 to $600. They're going to have to drop the price of the original PlayStation and maybe bundle it with the PSVR 2, or maybe have the PSVR 2. I don't know. There's something that's going to happen. PlayStation is not going to just, they are definitely dropping PSVR 2 out into the wild right now. They are not subsidizing PSVR 2 headsets whatsoever. Early adopters are 100% like Kickstarter programs / freaking hardcore fans that just want to be first. They want to support the company, stuff like that. Like if you're buying PSVR right now, PSVR 2 right now, you are literally you're paying full price for this thing, and that's fine. You get to be there day one. You get to be there at the beginning of it. You get to see I've always been like that. I've always been that kind of gamer. I like to start in the beginning and see how it goes all the way toward the end. Technically, this will be my first generation that every game I've bought, I will have at the end of the generation because I buy digital now. So that's pretty cool, man. Last generation was about half. So we're moving into this generation where, well, actually, the first PS4 game I bought, I do have digitally, but that's neither here nor there at this point. But what I'm saying is, with the new PS5 Slim, with the detachable disk drive. They're going to be able to lower the cost of that console, be able to get people in the door a little quicker. They're going to be able to work around with the price for the PSVR 2 to try to get it into more people's hands. But as it sits right now, yeah, I can kind of understand why people would be trying to come at PSVR 2 with oh, it doesn't have the software or doesn't have this, because I was one of them. I was like, no, dude, we don't have enough games. There's no backward compatibility. The price is too high, but it's all of those matter to the casual gamer. All of those matter to me, it is what it is, man. I got a PSVR 2. I got a channel. I can cover it. If it's good, I want to help people realize that it's good and help you find that product that's going to be good for you. Like, PSVR 2 is a solid headset. This is the first time. Okay. When I first played, what's it called? Half-Life Alyx, I felt like, yeah, it's cool, but it still looks like a VR game. Like the stuff that I'd been seeing since I first put on the little Samsung headset. I was like, it looks good. And you can tell it's definitely got, like some higher resolution, a little bit more detail to everything. But Call of the Mountain blows that out of the water. Like, immediately. It's like, that looks way better than that. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, wow. So in my mind, what PlayStation has done with PSVR 2 is bring AAA gaming to VR. And I mean that. Like, I do mean that. Like, getting into Gran Turismo 7 and playing that in VR, like, I'm literally blown away every time I put my headset on. I'm like, wow, I cannot believe how good this experience feels, because I've never felt that before. The only thing that comes closest to that, and I've put out videos of Dirt Rally 2.0 in VR. That's the only one that comes close to giving me that sense of speed that I'm getting with PSVR 2. That's the only one. All the rest of them, they look and feel like they've got that. I mean, okay, Automobilista 2 doesn't necessarily have like the greatest looking visuals. I mean, it gets the job done, but they're not the greatest looking visuals. And the same goes for Assetto Corsa Competizione. Assetto Corsa Competizione has really good visuals on the PC, but when you turn over to the VR, it looks like a VR game. It looks like a VR game. Whereas Gran Turismo, it looks pretty AAA. Like, whoa, dude, this looks pretty good still. So that's what I'm saying. When it comes to that, when it comes to PSVR 2, I do have faith in this product. I do have faith that this product is going to be better, and there's going to be some cooler stuff that's going to be coming out. Firewall Ultra, that game is going to be incredible. So don't completely write PSVR 2 off. It's going to take a little while for it to start moving because of the price. The price is going to help that. It's going to hold it back until they do something to make the price more palatable for people. But I mean, you look at peripherals for video games like this Fanatec DD Pro that I bought, $941 to play racing games. So that's definitely more than a PSVR 2 headset. So I know that people out there will spend money on the peripherals because I do it. And if I do it, there's other people that are going to do it. PSVR 2 is a solid quality headset. It does feel good. It does look nice. It has a great picture quality. It's got a great screen. It's got nice field of view. The controllers are actually probably some of the better, like holding controllers. I do like them. I do like them more than my Oculus controllers, a lot more. They are better. So when it comes to PSVR 2, it is a solid experience. But now we're going to get to the granddaddy of all of them, the PS5 Pro. I do think that this is possible. Do I think it's smart for Sony to do this? No. No, I don't, because the whole thing with a Pro, this is the gotcha thing, okay? Because PS5, we can all argue all day long about the SSD versus power. I think it should have had more power. That thing should have launched with as much power as Series X, and it should have just launched with a little bit slower SSD. But now if we move over to PlayStation 5 Pro, which I do feel like they're going to be able to give you more power, a little bit better CPU, definitely better GPU, still going to be able to use that thing. I'm thinking like 13 to 15 teraflops overall compute power for this with a little bit better, with a little bit better ray tracing. But the way to get better ray tracing with the AMD is through more CUs in the GPU. So they're gonna have to crank up the power by including more CUs, and then they're still gonna have to stay at a at a certain power range, maybe like 300 watts or something like that. If they stay in there, and they might be able to do it. So I don't expect it to be like super, like way more powerful, but I do expect it to still come in at around $699. I do believe it's going to be like $699. To be completely honest with you, it should 100% come with a 2 terabyte hard drive now. You've seen the SSD Gen 4s or Gen 3s or whatever they are right now drop in price drastically. So you should expect at least 2 terabyte hard drive with this thing, maybe even a 1 terabyte hard drive for sure. I mean, at least 2 terabytes. I'm saying at least 2 terabytes, $699, more CUs, more stuff like that. I do believe that PS5 Pro is going to come. I will buy one. I will try to get one as close to day one as possible, simply because I think it will do better with the PSVR 2. I think it'll be able to push that even further than what it already is. But yes, I do believe PS5 Pro is in the works, and I do believe it will launch this generation. Now, you're going to wonder, are we going to have to pay $10 for upgraded games for that? Well, no, because most of these games are launching with dynamic resolution and dynamic FPS. That's like the one best thing that we've gotten throughout this generation is the dynamic, like once you plug in more power, the games will meet that power. They're scalable. They'll continuously move up with the hardware, which is pretty dang good. Now, there will be things that could potentially take better advantage of the better hardware that they would have to go in there and maybe tweak, like ray tracing settings, stuff like that. But most of these devs are to the point where, yeah, they've been upgrading for Xbox and PlayStation. They're going to be able to do that. Most of them probably already know. They're probably already working stuff into this code already to make them better. I feel like both PlayStation and Xbox. I think Xbox will probably do it. Maybe potentially do another Xbox this generation too. But I think what happened is they were like, oh yeah, man. And I think this is probably what pushed it and turned it into motion. This is just my theory. This isn't like rumor or anything like that. Unreal Engine 5, okay? Very heavy to run. Very heavy to run. As what I think happened, though, is PlayStation and Xbox were like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, they would drop it down to 30 frames a second. Do 30 frames a second. But then somewhere along the line, people started demanding the 60 frames a second this generation, which is good. But now both Microsoft and PlayStation are going to have to find a way to make those, to build these pro consoles so that they can actually run these games at 60 frames a second. A little bit better than what, because it's going to get rough, man. It's going to get rough. I can already tell you that. It's going to get rough with these designs. But still, we haven't seen any of these I/O speeds being utilized. We haven't seen any of the SSD stuff really be utilized. We haven't seen any of the mesh shaders or any of the velocity architecture, all of the different things that they've baked into these consoles for next gen features. We haven't seen any of it because they've been cross gen games. So that's pretty much my take on this whole PlayStation thing, and then possibly a whole show sometime in the summer, around before the Summer Games Fest. It does sound interesting. I would like to see what Sony's thinking is for all this. It definitely would get a lot of people talking. It would definitely create a lot of hype. That's just PlayStation. They've got the media. They got everything. That would definitely create some hype, especially if they announce a PS5 Pro. That's going to be pretty hype. Don't really know about how the handheld's going to do unless it can have native supported games on it. That thing's probably going to be a wash. It'll probably just be for the PlayStation fanatics that want to buy a fancy controller. As far as PS5 Slim, that'll definitely be able to lower the price to be able to get more consoles out there faster. They've got some pretty optimistic numbers out there or pretty aggressive numbers for pushing this PlayStation 5 out the door and getting them into people's hands. So I do think that I do think that, like, I mean, from a business standpoint, everything that has been rumored and everything that's in the works for PlayStation sounds feasible enough to the point where, like, yeah, I could see PlayStation doing that. I don't necessarily think Xbox was really intent on shipping another Pro console this generation. I don't think they were, but I think Sony will probably force their hand, and they'll probably just throw something together to get more power, which it's going to hurt them. It's going to hurt them both next generation. It's definitely going to hurt them both next generation when they try to put out their original consoles. But if they do what Xbox did and just stick with the 1080p, moving the 1080p line up, I don't see that as a bad thing. But yeah, dude, your Pro console next time is not going to be the jump is not going to be as big. Like, seriously, going from a 3060 Ti to a 3080, from a 3080 to a 3090, like, the jump is just not big enough. I mean, because the visuals are right there. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. This is tough. This is getting interesting. So, if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe, man. I'll see you guys in the next one. We went almost 22 minutes with this. So, we'll see you guys later.